My dear children of class 8, good morning. Today we are going to start a new lesson in the political science, civics, that is public facilities. Dear children, if you look around in your school, in addition to the teachers, the school provides you with neat, tidy classrooms, comfortable desks and chairs, good ventilation, lights, fans, drinking water with water coolers, neat, clean toilets, playgrounds, and other amenities like auditoriums, laboratories, medical room, that is sick room, etc. Okay, these facilities support your work. That means studies and personal growth in a better way. If these facilities were not be there, imagine children, how could you have studied as well in a school which had classes being run under a tree with a teacher and a few books? Just imagine. Likewise, yes, human society at any level requires some basic amenities. Amenities means some facilities such as health centers and hospitals, schools and colleges, roads, railways, water supply and sanitation system, electric supply, food distribution system, etc. for their happy and healthy living. Okay, can you understand, children? These facilities are called public facilities. While some things like food and consumer goods are available in the market and can be obtained by the citizens as per their need and purchasing power, the rest are required to be provided by the state and are essential for the well-being of the citizens of the state. These are for the common good and can be used by any members of the society. Can you understand, children? Okay. Public facilities as part of right to life. In our previous lessons, we discussed about the fundamental rights. The right to some public facilities are recognized as part of the right to life guaranteed by Article 21. Okay, just to remember, Article 21 of the Constitution. For example, the right to enjoy a healthy environment with clean air and water is regarded as part of the right to life under Article 27. This is evident from several decisions of high courts and the Supreme Court which have gone against those who cause pollution. Children, who provides public facilities? Just to answer my question, yes, it is a duty of any government to provide basic amenities. Amenities means basic facilities, provision for its citizen. The country can progress only if such facilities are present for people to live, to do their work or business and look after their families. These basic amenities are also known as public facilities. Some public facilities may be provided by the government and also by private companies. Large amounts of funds are required required to establish this infrastructure. It also requires a large number of people to be employed so as to maintain and manage this infrastructure. Under normal circumstances, the private enterprise does not take on such huge investment, and it is the government which has to pay for and provide these facilities for the citizens of the state. Okay, children. Next, sources of revenue for the government. The resources that you studied in your geography lessons, resources of the country. The resources of the country are controlled by the government to ensure that their benefits are distributed fairly among the people. The government has to collect money from the citizens to carry out all its activities. Okay. Children, taxes are the main source of revenues for the government. The government undertakes various welfare activities and maintains public facilities. With the help of the income from the taxes, it levies. Levies means it charges. The different types of taxes include income tax, sales tax, entertainment tax, property tax, export import tax, entry tax, customs duties, and cess. The revenue collected is utilized for defense expenditure and public welfare of the people and to build the nation. Children, for instance, to supply electricity, the government has to incur costs in generation, transmission, and distribution. It should generate the power supply, it should transmit the power supply, and it should distribute the power supply. Though these costs run into crores of rupees, the government has to ensure that the burden on the consumer is minimal. Every year, the annual budget is presented in Parliament. It accounts for the expenses the government has that is incurred on implementation of the programs in the past year. Okay. In the budget, the government also announces the allocation of money to various new programs. Children, the government of India has recently started with the concept of utilizing the services of private sector's enterprises for efficient management of these facilities. Okay. Children, these enterprises are governed and controlled by the government policies so as to ensure that the costs remain minimal and the facilities are fully functional and available. Some non-governmental organizations, NGOs, have started setting up and managing some public facilities. Okay, where the government has not been able to provide the facilities adequately. For example, that the Sulabh toilet facilities have come up in many slums, okay, to solve the problem of sanitation. These charge very nominal fee for use of the facility and maintain it hygienic condition. Okay. Similarly, BSES, Transco, these organizations began maintaining the electric supply systems and collect the electrical bills while the power is still generated by government owned power stations. Next one is water supply. Okay. Children, in urban areas, that is towns and cities, the municipal authority is responsible for supplying water. Okay, generally the water supply department of the municipality is unable to meet the requirement of the people. Those who can afford it solve the problem of short supply by buying water from private companies or by digging borewells, while those who cannot have to make do with far less than what is commonly considered the minimum requirement of about 7 buckets per person. Children, hence the people living in slums may have to manage with less than 1 bucket per person, while people living in well-to-do neighborhoods may use more than 40 or 50 buckets per person. Children, if this is the condition, even with the government making all efforts provide water to meet the needs of the people. You can imagine what would happen if the supply of water only depended on private companies. People often argue that privatization would lead to greater efficiency, but it would also result in greater inequalities. Okay, with the skyrocketing of the price of water, that the poor would not be able to afford this. This has happened in few places where the responsibility of supplying water was given to private companies. Children, two things become clear from the stories above. The government must have the overall responsibility of water supply to keep the price at a level that is affordable for everyone. Additionally, the distribution of water must be equitable, that is fair. Dear children, the problem of water supply is far more severe in villages where the sources of water are natural water bodies and mostly the privately owned wells and tube wells. Moreover, the sources of water are often polluted due to the lack of sanitation. The lack of safe drinking water leads to diseases such as dysentery, jaundice, and typhoid, which cause the death of hundreds of citizens every day. Okay, children, Swajaldara is a project, okay, that was launched by the government in 2002 to supply clean water to rural households. Here, the government plays the role of facilitator rather than provider. It helps the community design, create, and manage its drinking water resources. The community shares the value by making by contributions in cash or kind. There is the things needed to dig well and is responsible for its maintenance. Government also takes steps for the conservation of water. Example, recharging groundwater by not permitting rainwater to run off. Okay. Although water seems to be available in large amount, but most of it's not directly consumable for safe health. Okay. Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act was passed in 1974. What are all the initiatives by the government? Okay, the Save Water campaign has been initiated to make the people aware of several ways to save water. Provision of deep hand pumps in rural areas. It has made compulsory for all new major buildings to cater for rainwater harvesting. Water recycling plants are being established in urban areas so as to filter, treat, and recycle the wastewater for horticulture purpose. Okay, children, the term sanitation usually means hygienic system of disposing of human excreta. The problem of sanitation is even greater than that of safe drinking water. As per the government figures, while 68% of the households have access to drinking water, only 36% have access to sanitation. Okay, it is the poor in village and towns who are the worst affected. The lack of toilets and proper system of garbage and water. Water disposal leads to the pollution of sources of water and waterborne diseases. Children, the Central Rural Sanitation Program was launched by the government in 1986 with the purpose of providing household and community toilets in rural areas. Okay, the idea was to improve the quality of life in villages and provide dignity and privacy to females who are the worst affected by the lack of toilets. This program has now been replaced by the total sanitation campaign in which again the government plays a role of the facilitator, and the community is educated and encouraged to build sanitary for flush toilets to meet its needs. Okay, that healthcare and education, transport, and power supply are some of the other basic facilities that the government makes effort to provide for. In rural areas, healthcare is provided through primary health centers and community health centers. Community health centers have a laboratory, X-ray facilities, and beds for patients who need hospitalization. The community health center covers 80,000 to 1,20,000 people, which implies that there is a huge gap on what has been done and what is demanded in the field of rural healthcare. In urban areas, there are district hospitals, medical college hospitals, and other government hospitals. Okay, elementary education, okay, learning, uh, elementary education was made a fundamental right for children in the age group of 6 to 14 years through an amendment to the constitution in 2002. In 2001, the government launched the Sarva Siksha Abhiyan. Okay, it's a scheme, Sarva Siksha Abhiyan, to cover all children in this age group. Special attention is given to the girl child and children of weaker sections under this program. The next one is the midday meal scheme. Okay, in Tamil Nadu, Dr. M.G. Ramachandran, MGR, introduced this scheme. Kamarajar introduced this scheme. Okay, the midday meal scheme, under which school children are provided one meal a day, was launched in 1995 to improve the nutritional status of children and encourage them to attend school. However, we still have a long way to go in achieving universal elementary education. Besides, many government schools lack basic facilities like drinking water and sanitation. They have also a shortage of teaching staff. Modes of public transport such as buses, trains are maintained by the government, central and state. There are problems of inequality and scarcity here too. In towns and cities, people often complain about overcrowded public transport like buses and local trains, while many villages are not connected by roads, so there is no question of public transport. In many towns and cities, private buses are given permits by the state or city transport authority, which regulates the fares to be charged. Okay. Then the auto rickshaw fares also fixed by the government. Next one is power supply. Power supply is very important public facility as power needed in industries, farms and homes. The distribution of power is mostly controlled by the government. In a few places like Delhi, Kolkata, etc., the private companies have the responsibility of supplying power. Privatization sometimes leads to an increase in tariffs charges, but the government retains the right to control tariffs. For example, the Delhi Electricity Regulatory Commission controls the rates charged by private companies. Children, normally the demand for power is much higher than it's available. So people face heavy load shedding even in urban areas. In rural areas, the situation is much worse. Solar power generated from sunlight is known using solar panels. Okay, that is called solar power. And power generated from biogas are being researched as alternatives, especially to meet rural needs. Okay, children, facilities that are essential for the well-being of all the people are called public facilities. Okay, public facilities are services, institutions, that are etc., that are used by the people in general. Example, roads, buses, power supply, water supply, sanitation, etc. Okay, it is a government's responsibility to provide public facilities to all the people. Sometimes the government hires the services of private companies for providing public facilities. Okay, the money for funding public facilities comes from taxes and the price charged for services. Sometimes a special tax or cess is charged to meet the funds required for a special program or to deal with an emergency. Okay, here we reach the end of this lesson. This one you write us, define the following terms: sanitation, company, universal access, and basic needs. Okay, write in your classwork note, children. Take snapshots and send to my personal WhatsApp number. Thank you. Have a nice day, children.